The Hunt Library on North Carolina State University's Centennial campus is not only a place where you can read and research the past. If you walk into the Teaching and Visualization Lab, you can almost go back in time to wherever your imagination and research needs will take you.
A room in which you're filled with the ability to do 270-degree visualizations around the room, an incredible sound system that allows you to recreate sonic environments or for that 270-degree environment. It allows you to do simulations, it allows you to do recreations of a historical moment.
Which is why, with a few clicks of a computer, you can leave Raleigh and be transported back to the courtyard of St. Paul's Cathedral in London.
This is the place where the general population of England comes in contact with the government and the official state church.
The cathedral courtyard is the crossroads of the city, and so it has become the focal point of social, political, and religious life.
Lord, be with you.
That's St. Paul's Cross in the courtyard. It's a freestanding outdoor pulpit where large crowds gather to hear sermons on Sundays and special religious days. The speeches are 2 hours long and focus not only on saving souls, but also on explaining royal policies.
So these sermons themselves are very important in terms of understanding how the government and the church and the religious life of ordinary Londoners all came together.
After the Reformation, religion and politics were closely linked in England.
One of the questions we had when we started this had to do with acoustics. How many people can hear an unamplified human voice in the outdoors, okay, in this space?
And that question is especially important on the date that is being recreated by this research project. It is November 5th, 1622. King James is trying to hold the British Empire together during an unstable time. The king asked John Donne to preach a sermon reassuring citizens about the king's religious alliances and reasserting the king's power in religious and political affairs. Donne is a prominent lawyer, poet, Anglican priest, and dean of the cathedral.
Had said, Dei estis.
This is a painting of a Paul's Cross sermon in process.
The speech was so significant it was captured in paintings. Scholars have long wanted to know just how such an important event actually happened.
Estimates of the actual crowd run as high as 6,000.
So, with no time machine available, NC State researchers used historic documents, as well as those paintings and drawings from the time, to virtually recreate the courtyard and St. Paul's Cross. The actual cathedral burned to the ground 4 years after Donne delivered his sermon.
So understanding that we started with a plan that we feel is fairly accurate because it was in the ground. It's still in the ground and measured quite well. And with drawings by a well-noted architect in Wren, working on the vertical information, we feel like we have fairly accurate information there. Materially speaking, we know that the church was built with stone. We understand what the surrounding buildings were made of because of artwork of the period, engravings and things like that. And we know where the openings would be, we know how the roof was formed, we know about the cross on top, we know where John Donne may have stood delivering a sermon.
And meant to discharge it upward.
An actor was hired to deliver the speech. The recording, combined with the virtual recreation of the courtyard, answered the project's primary question. It turns out Reverend Donne could so effectively reach his audience because the courtyard created a stadium effect.
O Lord, didst look down to say what was done upon the ark, but also what was done in the ark. And when the boughs of the ark were with a hay of fire, ready to open and swallow us.
We know that the church being made of stone, that it probably had a fairly high sound reflective quality. And so we wanted to understand, once the spoken word was projected into that space, how long would it take to reverb? and to come back. And so that's what our acoustical engineers in Boston were able to do with this. We constructed the digital model, so physical space, if you will, in the digital realm. And we could assign material properties to all of the structures, even the ground, even accounting for people and our absorptive and reflective qualities in terms of sound. And so when we projected the recording into the digital architectural space, we could really understand what it looked like and how many people could hear it. How far away could you stand and still hear the speech?
But he also needed to preach at a very deliberate pace. He needed to pronounce each word slowly and distinctly so that each individual word did not get lost in the echo of the word that went before it. Put those two things together and you realize how effective this space was for very large crowds, for the state and the church and the congregation to come together. That's how the Paul's Cross sermon played its role in English culture in this period.